Today we're ranking the entire Halloween franchise from worst to best, so let's get spooky. Greetings everyone, my name is Nightshade, this is The Night Shift, a home for all things spooky, and it is time to rank the entire Halloween franchise. Now that we've gotten all of the reviews of the Halloween franchise done and dusted, it's time to rank them from worst to best. And if you're new to the channel and this is your very first time meeting me, hi, hello. If you want to see me do more in-depth reviews of these movies, I've got a playlist here on my channel, so if you want to check them out, go ahead and do that. If not, don't, I guess. Now, for everybody else that has been following along and watching since, the first Halloween review, I'm sure it'll probably be pretty easy to guess which movies are going to be the worst and the best in my opinion. But we're going to rank these motherfuckers anyway. And before we get to ranking these films, I'm sure my list is going to look a little bit different than yours. And that's perfectly okay. There's no need to chew off anybody's head for differing opinions. Variety is the spice of life. Rather than putting anybody down, go ahead and leave your list in the comments below. I do look forward to reading those. I like looking at people's, own personal rankings of these types of films. I always find that very entertaining. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and rank all 13 films in this franchise. In dead last, 13th place, we have Halloween Resurrection. The story sucks, the characters suck, and almost everything about this movie just flat out sucks. Like, maybe if I didn't binge watch the entire franchise for the review series, I could get enjoyment from it being laughably bad. However, watching all the good movies and then watching this piece of shit, that is not the case here. Yeah, I absolutely think this movie is a pile of dog shit. I don't know what anybody was thinking whenever they made this movie. What kind of drugs were you on? Now, Halloween Resurrection absolutely had to go dead last for me. No questions about it. Moving right along, in 12th place, we have Halloween Ends. When watching this in context of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, I fundamentally disagree with every single decision that was ever made in this movie ever. The characters' choices, and a lot of the decisions that were made going into this film fall absolutely flat and don't make any sense to me whatsoever. I simply just don't enjoy this movie. So moving right along on our list, we have Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Fuck this movie as well. Like, it's a well shot movie, but the story leaves a lot to be desired. It's like playing around with being experimental but saying absolutely nothing, and it also just goes into the plain absurd, and it's not one of my favorites at all. And trucking right along, we have Halloween 5. This one is definitely low on the list. It would have been even lower, but other films just picked at me a little bit more, but this movie is just flat out boring. Not to mention that there were a lot of artistic choices that shouldn't have been made in the slightest. Like, Michael Myers is boring in this film. The mask sucks. They kill one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, and it's all just a disrespectful mess for sure. However, I will say that Danielle Harris and Loomis are like the stars of the show in this film for sure. Like, they're the hands down the best part of this movie. But other than that, fuck this movie. Trucking right along, we have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, this one is weird as hell. Whichever cut you watch, neither one of them really does it for me, and neither one tickles my fancy. This movie does absolutely nothing for me. The reason it's so high on the list is simply because the other ones are worse. Now, this one does have a lot of beautiful cinematography, and it is bathed in atmosphere, but other than that, the characters in this one are absolutely forgettable. The portrayal of Michael Myers is just weird and dumpy, and the mask is also not my favorite at all. It's a lumpy mask with very uneven eyes, and it just bugs me. It's always bugged me. Even since I was a kid, it bugged me. But I mean, I've got a whole video on that, so I'm not going to dive too deeply into it. But yeah, Halloween 6, not one of my favorites. It used to be my least favorite, but my tastes have changed, and I hate other movies more than I hate this one. So moving right along, we delve into the okay portion of the series, the middle of the road, if you will. And we're going to start that list off with Rob Zombie's Halloween. So the back half of this film is the more enjoyable of the two films. This is very much like a Full Metal Jacket where it's like two movies in one. Like, I don't like that Michael Myers in this is like, you know, just a paint by numbers version of a serial killer. There was a handful of criticisms on, you know, like you just don't like a realistic version of Myers, and you're absolutely right. I watch movies to escape reality. If I wanted to watch something realistic and a more real approach to a serial killer, I would just watch true crime, but that's not the case. I'm watching a fucking movie. And as such, I want to see the boogeyman just being evil and the boogeyman. So, you know, like, I don't like the portrayal of Michael Myers in the beginning, how he is a paint-by-numbers serial killer. However, the second half of this movie I do enjoy. It's pretty much a retelling of John Carpenter's Halloween, like almost beat for beat with a handful of differences in the mix. So this film is very middle of the road for me. It doesn't hurt my feelings too much, but it's not the best in the franchise by any stretch of the imagination. Now, moving right along, we have Halloween H2O. And this one has a special place in my heart because it was my very first outing to go see Michael Myers in the theater, which was really cool. I was much too young to go to the theaters to see it, but you know, my mom is awesome, and love you, Mom, if you're watching this. I know you're not. So yes, nostalgia may be clouding my judgment, but I don't care. This is my list and I will do what I want. But yeah, Halloween H2O is very middle of the road for me. It's not the worst by any stretch of the imagination, but it is far from the greatest in the franchise. You know, the portrayal of Michael Myers is okay. The masks aren't great. Jamie Lee Curtis is fine in this movie. Everybody in this movie is just okay. And you know what? That's fine. Sometimes you want to watch something that is just okay rather than watching something that is terribly bad. Moving right along, we have Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch. Now this one is unfair to be on this list. Like, the only reason it's this low, like, I feel like it should be in a category of its own because I do genuinely love this movie. Like, the story is absolutely batshit. The concept of this movie is absolutely batshit, but it's one of those movies that I fucking love. And if it was something else, like if it had a different title, if Halloween was not in the title and it was just called Season of the Witch, I think people would enjoy this movie more. And since it's like the black sheep of the Halloween franchise, I don't think it gets a fair shake, and that is unfortunate. But you know, if this was not a Michael Myers, you know, movie franchise, this would be so much higher on my list. Definitely one of my favorite, you know, Halloween season movies to watch. And yeah, I very much love this movie. So moving right along, we have Halloween Kills, and this has gone way up in my list. And I did not expect it to, but for some reason something in this movie clicked for me in my brain, and I had a great time watching it, and I was happy to watch it a second time for this review series. But yeah, I was not expecting this to go that high on my list at all. It was one of the lowest. Like, it was right behind Resurrection, I think, the last time I wrote down a list. But you know, it has climbed up the ranks, and I very much enjoy this movie. There's a lot of good blood, there's a lot of good gore. Michael Myers is fucking awesome in this movie. Like, there's a lot of dumb dialogue, but overall it doesn't bother me that much. And overall, I just really fucking love this movie. So yeah, I am surprised that it climbed up this high, but you know, it is what it is. So moving right along, in fourth place, we have Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is one of my all-time favorite Halloween movies. This is one that is the first Halloween movie that I ever owned. Like, I rented it from the movie store that ended up going out of business, so I just kept the movie, and yeah, it was one that I watched frequently, and I love it for what it is. You know, we get Michael Myers back after, you know, Halloween 3 tanked at the box office and was seen as a commercial failure. Halloween 4 went right back to basics, and they did a pretty good job. A lot of good kills. I do enjoy the story, and I love most of the characters in this film. So yeah, Halloween 4 in 4th place. So moving right along, in 3rd place, we have Halloween 2018. This is one of my all-time favorites in the franchise. I had a great time watching this. You know, whenever it was being released, it was a great time to be a Michael Myers fan because we got a lot of really cool shit that came with it. Definitely one of my all-time favorites in the franchise. I think James Jude Courtney absolutely crushed it as Michael Myers. Jamie Lee Curtis crushed it as Laurie Strode in this film. All the characters are really cool. We get a lot of good kills. The cinematography is beautiful. The story is great, and the score is absolutely the best in the franchise, hands down, and nobody can convince me otherwise. But yeah, Halloween 2018 is one of my all-time favorite films, no matter how many douchebags try to tell me I'm a fucking idiot for liking it, but you know, it is what it is. I will die on the hill that this is one of the best in the franchise, and you can't convince me otherwise. I'm not listening, la 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 la. So moving right along, in 2nd place, we have Halloween 2. This one is one of my all-time favorite films in the franchise, for sure, hands down, no question about it. This works as a great double feature. I think Dick Warlock is one of the best portrayals of Michael Myers that we have ever seen. I think this works as a great continuation to the first film. I think it works part and parcel, and for the longest time, like, you know, Halloween 1, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O were like my ultimate trilogy for this franchise. And every once in a blue moon, I like to watch those movies as a trilogy in a single night, and I have a good time doing it. So yeah, Halloween 2 definitely in 2nd place, which can only mean my number 1 film, and this should be a surprise to nobody, but the original John Carpenter's classic Halloween. This is my favorite slasher movie of all time, and my favorite horror movie of all time. This is, even though it's not the first horror movie I ever watched, it is in fact the first movie that ever genuinely scared me. And I think there's just something special about the first movie that genuinely terrifies you. It's always fun to get scared at a movie, and I've been chasing that high ever since. But John Carpenter's Halloween is a masterpiece. I think it is a perfect film. It's one of a handful of films that I consider to be perfect. And for me personally, I don't see any subsequent Michael Myers film to outdo it. Yeah, it might happen. You never know. Like you never know what the future holds. Like, maybe, you know, one day somebody will remake Halloween and it's just absolutely more perfect than the original. But until that time happens, yeah, John Carpenter's Halloween is untouchable in my opinion, and I fucking love it. I love it. So there we have it. That is my personal list based on my personal tastes, and I know a lot of people might not agree with my list, but yeah, sound off with your list in the comments below. I genuinely look forward to reading those. So that is just about going to do it for me. I will see you all on Friday whenever we rank all of the Michael Myers masks. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm gonna go film that next. If you like the video, let me know by leaving me a like. Comment down below what you want to see on the channel next. I will do my best to accommodate. And until next time, my name is Nightshade. This has been The Night Shift, and I will see you in the next video. Stay spooky, my friends.